So, Gurinder, when you were wheeled to bereavement suite, did that is that when something clicked that this is
Y- yes and no. So I thought, okay, yes, so I'm going to deliver my baby right now. Everybody's there waiting for me at the end of the bed. What is happening? What's going on? It was a shock. But then everything that I was feeling, all the contractions, they just all slowed down. And I was so confused because I thought baby's coming now, and people were saying when baby comes we're going to inject you because of blood clots or whatever. They were saying this stuff, and I was like, okay, do what you need to do. But then, the urgency kind of went, and the midwife started going, and I thought, what's happening? And what was happening was my labour had slowed down, and I think those contractions were for my waters breaking, but then the baby wasn't coming, and it felt like everybody was a bit confused. Um, and then I got a scan done. I think it was that same day, and they said baby's still there. Her heart is still. This was a girl too. Her heart is still beating. It's just that your waters are broken, and so the fluid around her has now gone, and you are at risk of infection now because the fluid that's protecting her has gone. And then I thought, okay, you said there's a heartbeat, so that we could be okay. And then that glimmer, the next monkey bar, like there's a bit of hope here again. We've got a heartbeat. What do we do to replenish this fluid? Come on, and I was asking these questions. Can the fluid replenish? Can you do anything to help? And I was told, yeah, the fluid does regenerate. And I don't know if this is how it does, but I was just drinking water, because I just thought, let me do whatever I can do, because she is still fighting. Her heart is still going. It's still beating. And then we got to the evening, and it seemed calm, and I slept a little bit. And we woke up the next day. And
so you were just sort of waiting for things to get better, baby will be okay. That's what was going through your head.
I thought there's a chance, it might be okay. And the midwife we had that next day, she was just the most incredible angel on this planet. And she spent time with me and Suki, and she talked to us and held our hands and ordered us food, and just, she was such an angel. And the day felt nice, the day felt good, it felt like it might be okay. And we didn't talk about funerals, and we didn't talk about all this stuff that had been planted in my mind the night before. And then when she went off duty, she said, I'm going on holiday now, so I won't get to see you, but I'll phone tomorrow from holiday because I want to see how you're doing. And I just thought, no, have a brilliant holiday. And then the next day, so we had a little scan before she left, because she said, let me just check that the heartbeat's okay. And the heartbeat was there, and she goes, oh, who knows? And I felt good. Then we tried to sleep again. The next day, different midwife on shift. It all felt a bit different. It felt a little bit darker than the day before. And because I was going to have my baby then, my baby was delivered. So my contractions started again.
And then
and
so when you were going through these contractions, did you still feel that you were going to deliver your child with a heartbeat, or did you feel like this is it now?
It was bizarre, because I don't want to keep talking about going to the toilet.
It's all right.
But I went to the loo, and I could feel her head quite low. And I wasn't feeling much in the way of contractions, but I was feeling something. And because I felt her head, and I thought, she's coming right now. And you have emergency cords. The emergency cord was pulled. I had all these doctors and nurses into the room. And I said, she's coming. And I'm on the bed, and they're ready to deliver her. And they're like, you're not. She's not there. your cervix is closed. And I'm like, no, I've felt her
Yeah.
head. I know I know what my baby's head feels like. And then it all quietened down again. And I said, someone needs to check because something
Yeah.
is going on.
Yeah.
And so they finally wheeled in.
So you felt like you were ready to deliver your child,
Yeah.
but the doctors were saying that there's like you weren't dilated or
No.
oh.
So this was bizarre, and I still haven't quite got to the bottom of this. But then they brought in a machine to do a scan. One doctor scanned me, and she said, "I can't see a heartbeat." And she said, "I'm actually struggling to find the baby too." And then another one came in, and she checked, and she said, "Yeah, I can't feel a heartbeat. Oh, there's something there, but that could be your heartbeat." And it's like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And she said, "Baby's very low." And then this most senior doctor came in, and she said, "Your baby's actually here." And she literally just kind of pulled her out. So I didn't have any contractions or anything at that point. They just pulled her out. And so I was not expecting in that moment
To see.
for my baby to be delivered, because I didn't have what I expected to have. I didn't have the contractions. I didn't, and I was being scanned. Like I just didn't get it.
There was so much going on.
There was too much going on.
Yeah.
And that is the point at which my daughter Jiya was born, sleeping.
At this time, you were obviously thinking about your father as well, because you lost your father. You were trying to find that happiness of getting to the stage of your pregnancy, but then also grieving the loss of your father. I mean, I'm not going to ask you how you felt, because I mean, I don't think you can probably answer that question, because it was probably a point where you felt so numb.
I felt numb, yeah. And I was, so Jiya had been born, but
and did you think of Jiya as a name?
We'd thought of that literally the day before when we were in hospital, waiting for the checkup that day.
Why Jiya?
It just felt, we had a couple of options.
It is a beautiful name.
Yeah, we had a couple of options the day before, but this was the one that at the time my husband was like, "It's Jiya."
Yeah.
And the meaning, heart, spirit, soul, it just kind of all connected, and it just felt right. But the feeling of feeling numb, so I delivered Jiya, but then my placenta didn't come out and I had to go into surgery to have that removed. And I can't tell you how happy I was to have anaesthetic, because it was just just numb everything for a bit. And the anaesthetist was like really funny, and I was in a different room, so it felt like I could just, I don't know, switch off, pretend that it didn't happen, or just be in a different space. And I could have some time to just collect myself. And then when the surgery was done and I came back into the room, it was a bit like, I think I'm ready to face this now. Whereas before it was like, I don't know what's going on, because you were just scanning me, and now you've just pulled my baby out. And that's when I sorted myself out a little bit. I had a shower, I felt a bit presentable, and I thought, I'm ready to meet my daughter now. So I didn't hold her as soon as she was born. And my husband and I, we got ourselves sorted, and it felt nice to meet her and to hold her and to just be with her.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're talking about holding your baby. I just remember the day Radhika was born, and because I had a C-section, they lifted her up, and my husband went to see her, and then they brought her towards me, and I remember looking at her, and I looked at her eyes, and I said, "I'm so grateful to be holding you. I'm so grateful to hear and see you breathe on top of me."
Yeah.
Because the 9 months were tough with her, and to finally hit that end stage and say it's over. Finally, like, now I can breathe, and now I can just be myself again, you know?
Yeah.
But that didn't happen with you, because from that point on, you weren't gonna go home with your baby. You had to leave your baby there. So What did you say to Jiya when you held her for the first time?
Oh, so much. We had some religious music playing in the background, and yeah, I just said what I would say to my daughter. She was perfect. She actually was perfect. Everything I could even see like whose fingers and toes she had.
Wow.
Um, yeah, she was perfect, and I just whispered some things to her.
And your husband was with you as well
Yeah.
at the same time.
And he did the same.
Yeah.
He said what he needed to say
Yeah.
and held her.
And then where did Jiya go from there? I mean, did the hospital? Because I'm only asking because I don't actually know the process. I mean, does the hospital take the baby, or do you decide what to do with? How does it work?
So so you have a choice. You can have the baby in your room in a cuddle cot, which is
Yeah.
a cool cot, so they can stay okay. You can have them with you, or you can have them in the chapel of rest or in another room in the hospital. And I remember when we met Jiya and we had some time with her, and it got to the nearer to the evening, and my husband said, I think she should, I think we should go now, like it's getting painful.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, that's fine. I wasn't thinking, I didn't know what to think or what to do. And the midwife came and she took the cuddle cot out, she took Jiya out, and I just burst into tears. And I just said, I can't do that. Like, my daughter is in this hospital and they've just put her in a different room. I can't live with myself that she is somewhere away from me. You must get the midwife back in here and you must bring her back in. And my husband said, because he could see that it's painful, and maybe for him it was prolonging the goodbye because we're bringing her back in now. But I needed to do it, and at that point I didn't really care what he was saying. I just knew it was wrong that she was in a different room. And so the midwife brought her back in, and instantly I was happy. I was like, oh, I feel okay now, she's safe, she's with me. And that night it was really bizarre, but I'd get up to go to the toilet and I'd just check on her like you would your baby. And, I'd open my eyes and just see her there. And that's all you have.
And I think you probably didn't want to let go,
No.
because that's what you've always dreamed of, having your baby with you and next to you.
And so I'm really glad that I pushed through with she must be there, because those are the memories that I have. And I knew that before long they are going to wheel her out. I'm going to be discharged and
you will have to part
I'm
ways.
never going to see her again. Like, I want to spend as much time with her as I can. And so that's what we did.
Did you feel that maternal side come out of you at that point? Like,
completely.
I'm a mother now, and that...
Completely. And I think from that second of she can't leave the room, like she must be with me. And I want to hold her a bit more, and I want to say a bit more to her, and what am I going to put with her so that she's got a bit of us with her when we leave the hospital. And so that all of that kicked in. And a lot of stuff medically kicks in as well. So I was told, expect your milk to come in. And they gave me an injection to stop that happening, because you forget, you've just given birth. Your body's given birth. It doesn't know that the baby has died.
Wow.
So there was injections and things happening to stop things happening in my body. And so motherhood, that feeling of being a mum, completely kicked in.
And then after Jia's, was taken away from you, I'm sure you were still... Did you wish your dad was with you?
That's an interesting question, because I wouldn't have wanted my dad to experience the pain of all of that. I wanted him to be there for me.
Are you glad in some way he didn't see that?
There's a squirrel just there. There's always signs of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, he didn't see that. He didn't have to experience that. But one way that I made sense of everything, because this is something, if you lose someone, you have to find a way to make it make sense. And for me to make this whole few months make sense was I created this story. My dad is the only person I would have trusted with my daughter to look after her, to bring her up, to bring her up how I would have brought her up. And so my story was Jiya wasn't going to make it. He had to go ahead of her and he had to get her home ready. And he's there. And I felt that comfort that Jiya is now with him. And that's why they both had to go. I don't know if this is true, but this is my story. And this is the story that I choose to believe to make sense of things and to make it that bit more bearable.
Yeah.
And yeah, I found real comfort in that, knowing that
she was in a safe place.
She was safe with the person I trusted most.
Yeah.
And he would do good by her. Yeah. My dad had 4 daughters of his own, and now he'd got his first granddaughter, and he's going to look after her.
That's such a beautiful way of looking at it. You've created a story that is soothing to your soul and to me as well to think about. I can even picture it in my head, your father welcoming Jiya, saying, come with me and I'll take care of you now. But now you have Simran, and Simran's in your life. And I think I said this to you on the phone when we had our first conversation. I think Simran's a beautiful name. How was that pregnancy? Because it happened, right? There's all these tries and attempts and ups and downs ended with a beautiful girl that you have now with you, and you just dropped her off to nursery. And I'm sure there was a point in your life where you never thought this would even happen, where you would drop your daughter to nursery and then pick her up and do all these nice things. So what was it like then to have Simran on the 8th attempt
now? This one felt different because after having Jiya, I was ready to talk to the whole world about her, and all of that silence from before, that I can't hurt anyone, I don't want to upset anyone, all of that, it was just like, I've had a daughter. So you said the motherhood bit kicks in. I've had a daughter, and her name is Jiya, and she will always be part of me. She will always be part of my life. I will talk about her. And that's when I started my blog. I needed space to just share all of this story. And that was therapy, to just come to acceptance with everything that had happened, to let my words just pour out of me and to heal. And so that needed to happen before I embarked on another pregnancy. And
you just needed, do you feel like you just needed a bit of a space to say, let me get myself together now?
Let me get myself together, but also I'm not going to keep quiet anymore. There's so much to talk about. There's so much that has happened. There is so much going on behind closed doors in lots of people's lives, and we need to just be there to support them. But first and foremost was, I've had a daughter and I'm going to talk about her and I'm going to honour her. And if anybody around me is uncomfortable with that, you need to deal with that and go through your journey.
Problem.
Yeah. But I'm going to talk about her and all of that. So then I started the blog.
Sorry, Gurinder, I'm just just like talking to you now and seeing you now. You seem proud of Jiya.
I completely
You're very
am.
like you met her for a short period of time.
Yeah.
But you speak about Jiya as if she's here with us still, and you seem to be so proud of her to have made it. And you've said goodbye to her with a lot of pride. And I think that's a very beautiful thing in itself, Gurinder, because we talk about miscarriages and stillbirths, and these are children of parents. And you talk about Jiya with so much pride, like this was my daughter.
Yeah, she is my daughter.
Yeah.
and she may have gone on ahead of me, but she completely changed the course of my life. And I wouldn't be the person that I am today, doing the things I'm doing today, had it not been for having her.
This might sound like it's a very spiritual question, but do you feel like you'll meet her again?
Yeah.
If you would meet Jiya, what would you say to her?
Oh, I don't think there are any words. It's just that holding her.
Yeah.
I'd thank her.
Yeah. Because she, as you said, she made you share your story
Yeah.
and be open. And I'm sure some part of having Jiya gave you, I know we've spoken a lot about hope, but you got to month 5 with Jiya, then you probably thought, well, maybe I can go a bit further in the next pregnancy. So
Yeah.
although the experience with Jiya was tough, you still want to try again.
In the immediate aftermath of having her, I remember saying to my husband, I was like, I'm not doing this again. I just can't do it. Like, if I have to go through this again and give birth and not take my baby home, I can't do it. And I remember being really emotional, literally in the car park of the hospital, saying, no, never again. Let's stop this. This is ridiculous.
But Gurinder, you also mentioned that when your your father had passed away a few months before, one of your sisters was about to give birth.
Yeah.
Did she give birth and that was all okay?
She gave birth 4 days after my dad died.
And her pregnancy was fine. Her delivery was okay.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah.
Your family went through a lot of...
And then a few months after I lost Jiya was my youngest sister getting married.
Wow.
So that year, 2016, was just...
Up, down, up, down.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You couldn't have written what happened in 2016.
Yeah. And then when you had Simran, what were those 9 months like?
Okay, so the healing happened by talking.
Yeah.
And I needed that.
Yeah.
And I also carried on with acupuncture, carried on with eating well. And the consultant that I mentioned earlier, who was there when I had the miscarriage, and the one who was there when he told me I was 9 centimeters dilated, that I had a connection with this guy. And I said I would like him to be in charge of my care next time round. So I didn't want to go to the recurrent miscarriage clinic. I wanted to go to my local hospital with this consultant. And he opened his arms to me and said, whatever you want in this next pregnancy, I'm here. And, the plan that he put together and the fact that he'd see me every 2 weeks, and I have his mobile phone number. I'm not sure if I'm meant to. But it was like, I've got a direct line to somebody who is helping me. And if there's any worry, I'm going to reach out to him. And he was instrumental, I think, in that pregnancy. And one of the reasons why I could, that pregnancy wasn't filled with like anxiety. It was a little bit, but not as much as you might expect, having heard all of my journey. And that came through, I think, a number of things. So it was the consultant care, it was the healing and the freeing myself from the silence that I was holding. And it was me surrendering. And I say that in relation to my faith, because in that pregnancy, I didn't pray, God, give me this child. I just said, you do what is right. You know what is right. And I trust everything that you're doing. So over to you, kind of thing.
And did you feel that mainly because what you went through with Jiya brought something to you that you never thought you would have?
I think it was, there's so much we can try and control everything. And I was looking to try and control this by saying, right, science is telling me this. All of that stuff that I was saying about, the percentages of this and that. And I was looking for something concrete, something tangible, something to fix this and sort it out. But ultimately, it was in saying, my faith is strong. And I said, God, over to you.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing. And, I trust what happens. And it took a lot of pressure off me
Mm-hmm.
to be like, oh, I must do this and I must do that. It was like, I'm going to just be. I'm going to take every day. And for the first time in any pregnancy, I'm going to embrace this time being pregnant.
Yeah.
Because there is no safe zone for me, but I can be creating a connection to my baby. And that's what I want. I don't want to run from it like I'd been doing previously, like hiding it all because I don't want to believe that it's going to happen in case it doesn't. So this was the first time where I would touch my bump and I would talk to my bump, and slowly the pregnancy progressed, and I had a cervical stitch in that pregnancy as a precaution, and I had these 2 weekly checks, and it was completely different to the other pregnancies. And I seemed to relax into it, which is surprising considering the story.
Yeah. When you had Simran, you had your baby. She had a heartbeat.
Yeah.
She was healthy. And you had your family. You had that image that you were dreaming of for so many years come to life. What was that moment like when Simran was born?
It was bizarre. So I had a C-section, elective C-section, and it was weird. Like, I look at pictures of me because I said to my husband, take lots of pictures.
Yeah.
And I have pictures of me with, the hat that they put on you. It's all bent and I'm looking a bit funny. And I'm holding her, and I remember the tears coming and the feeling of, my goodness, I knew I was going to be a mum. I felt it in every part of me. And she is here. My living child, Simran, is here.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to get going on that journey and feel what other mothers feel in taking their child home and doing all the stuff that you do and seeing who she is, watch me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was all encompassing and very joyful.
You talk a lot about hope, Gurinder. I mean, I can spend hours talking to you because your story is incredible.
You might have to edit this whole thing down so it fits in your show.
No, this whole story needs to go out. What does hope mean to you?
It's that feeling that it's going to be all right. And that doesn't mean you're going to get the outcome that you so long for, but the feeling that it's going to be all right regardless. And that you're going to be all right. And that's all it is for me. It's that little niggle that, don't ever give up. It's going to be okay. It may not be the story that has been written generations ago and what is expected of us. Your path might be completely different. But whatever your path, it's going to be okay, and lean into it and see what it's revealing to you. See what's coming.
Yeah.
There will be something.
Thank you, Gurinder. I mean, I knew about you, I heard about your story, but I never imagined it would be in this way. So thank you for sharing your story, Gurinder, and I hope this episode encourages other women to speak up about what they're going through. Not so much speak up, but also find that comfort that they're not alone.
Yeah.
Because especially in our communities, it's something we don't speak about or we're too afraid to. But I really feel the story can help so many women. So thank you for sharing everything, Gurinder. And thank you for being so candid.
That's
and so
okay.
open. I'm sorry.
And if I've gone into too much detail,
no,
I mean, I said the word poo.
It's okay. I'm sorry we got the waterworks going, but thank you, Gurinder.